What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Bello. Today's episode is about becoming obsessed and how you must become obsessed if you want to be successful at anything in your life. So it is almost 2020. We have a couple days left here in the year if you're listening to this the day that it goes live. By now, you really should have your goals dialed in for next year and get super clear. Make sure that they are SMART goals. I've talked about this before in previous episodes. If you're first time listening and you haven't listened to those episodes before, a SMART goal is basically, it stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. You don't want to say, I want to get swole in 2020. You want to say something like, I want to gain 10 pounds of muscle and have 10% body fat by and have a specific date. And pro tip, don't just say that you're going to accomplish all your 2020 goals by the end of the year, because chances are you're going to end up procrastinating, and then you're going to be there in December and realize that you're really not going to hit many of the goals that you set for yourself. So the way to do it is to have goals by certain deadlines, like say, hey, by the middle of the year or by the end of quarter one, I'm going to accomplish this. By the end of Q2, I'm going to accomplish that. You could even break it down by weeks, quarters, or maybe even by half a year, right? So let's say you get to June, July, you kind of reevaluate your goals, see how far you are. And I have a quote here from Grant Cardone on my vision board that says, never lower your target, increase your actions. So if it doesn't look like you're going to hit your goal, simply increase the things that you're doing. Don't lower your target. Always aim high, and you might surprise yourself. At the end of the year, you may blow past that goal, or you may do way better than you would have if you lowered your goal. So enough about the goal setting for next year. The point of today's episode is that if you want to crush your goals next year, or if you want to just kill it in life in general, you have to become obsessed. Where lazy people think obsession is a bad thing, they say you work too hard, you try too much, you spend too much time doing things. But if you're hardworking, becoming obsessed helps fuel you and make sure that you actually dedicate the amount of time and energy necessary to make something successful. So Grant Cardone even has a great book called Be Obsessed or Be Average. I actually listened to it on Audible probably a year or two now. I could use a refresher, but I just love that title, Be Obsessed or Be Average. And I'm going to link it up in the show notes if you guys are interested in checking it out. I highly recommend it. That's one of his great books along with the 10X rule. But think about that. Be obsessed or be average. The book title itself is saying that if you're not obsessed, you are average. People who excel in life, people who get more out of life than the average people, they find something that they are obsessed with and they go all in. And so you have to become obsessed and go all in on your thing. It's kind of like taking a cold shower or jumping into a pool when the water's cold. It's going to be a lot harder if you're trying to just dip your toe in instead of just jumping all the way in and counting down from 5. A month or so ago, I decided to go all in on LinkedIn, and I started posting pretty much daily, at least 3 or 4 times a week, where I had been previously holding back for quite some time because I think I had mentioned it on the episode with my buddy Skylar recently. I had been holding back a little bit just in case I wanted to apply to jobs and I didn't want people to see how entrepreneurial I thought, because I know that's kind of counter to what a lot of people want. If you're going to be an employee, companies don't like you to be an entrepreneur for the most part or think entrepreneurially, because they think that you just want the job to fund your other ventures. And that's just how it is. Unless you're working for a small company that's kind of startup-y, that might be more open to the entrepreneur mindset because you have to think more and act more like an entrepreneur, versus a standard corporate company where they want you to be a lifer and they want you to work there basically for your whole life. It was funny because when I was kind of thinking about finding other jobs, I have a friend who works at ExxonMobil, big oil and gas company. He's probably making, 6 figures, doing pretty well. And I asked him, I said, hey, I see a position's open. Do you think you can put in a word for me and maybe give me a referral or an introduction? And he said, sure, but know that if you do join, they're looking for lifers. They're looking for people who are wanting to stay there for most of their life, if not all of their life. That's the kind of people that they hire. And he also mentioned that I'd have to focus on that 100%, and I would have to drop everything else that I was working on because it's just simply too much to balance all the things I'm working on now along with that job. And that alone turned me off from the opportunity because A, I don't want to be a lifer, And B, I don't want to drop all the things that I'm working on because I love the things I'm working on. And so that only added fuel to the fire where I really want to make the things I'm working on work because I don't want to have to be a lifer at another organization. In any case, I've been going all in on LinkedIn and really sharing as much content as I can, letting people know what it is that I'm working on and what it is that I do, who it is that I claim to be. I sort of burned the boats a little bit when I quit, but if I'm honest, after a few months of not having any income, I got a little bit nervous. I started having those second thoughts and doubting, did I make the right decision? But now that I've seen more traction and I've been closing more deals and I've started to see some momentum, I'm feeling more confident with where I'm at. And I'm really just like, maybe I'm holding myself back by thinking small and trying to not be too out there. Maybe I need to just embrace it and go all in. And that's exactly what I'm doing. And you know how, for those of you who are familiar with LinkedIn, LinkedIn shows you when people look at your profile. So you can see so-and-so looked at your profile from this company or that company. And I could see a bunch of old friends that I used to work with that have amazing titles. Sometimes I get a little jealous. People who did the rotation program I'm in, some of them are directors, some of them are managers. I'm talking low to mid six figures, maybe high six figures in some of these people. Some of my peers, they went off to do consulting at like Bain & Company or McKinsey. And one guy went to get his Harvard MBA and now he's at Bain. I don't know. I felt a little bit of imposter syndrome there. I felt like I got put into a group of people who were a lot smarter than me, but maybe that's me holding myself back. But in any case, while I am a little envious of them at times because I know they're probably doing really well right now financially and have great benefits, I just didn't see that kind of life for me. And I really value the freedom that I have, the flexibility, being able to create my own schedule. Tomorrow on a Monday when this episode is going live, I'm recording this on Sunday, but tomorrow, Monday, December 30th, I'm meeting with a friend for coffee at 10 or 11 a.m. after I do my workout in the morning and my meditation and all of that. And they're going to be stuck at their office job. They're going to have great benefits. They're going to get a steady paycheck, but maybe they're traveling 5 days out of a week for consulting and they don't get to see their family. They don't get to have pets because their lifestyle doesn't afford them that luxury. Whereas I get to take the dog to the dog park in the middle of the day if I feel like it, right? And I could take my calls from there. There's give and take. There's pros and cons to everything. So like right now I'm more bootstrap and I'm more hustling and trying everything that I can, and I'm not able to turn my brain off because my income is unlimited, the potential, but at the same time, it's up to me to get my paycheck. Otherwise, I don't get anything if I don't perform. I always think it's interesting when they look at my profile and I can see that they saw my profile and they probably are like looking at me like I'm crazy, or maybe they're a little bit jealous because they see how I'm embracing what I want to do and I'm living the life that I'm working towards, right? Maybe I'm not living in a mansion, I'm not driving a Lamborghini, but I have the time freedom, I've got the flexibility. Those things are things that money can't always buy. Right now, my current title on LinkedIn says real estate agent / investor and podcaster. So the real estate is my bread and butter. The podcaster thing is like the thing that I love, my passion project, not really making me any money right now. But that's my title on LinkedIn right now, and I'm just embracing it and going all in. So in any case, obsession is key to being successful at anything. Tony Hawk was obsessed with skateboarding, Shaun White with snowboarding, and now he's doing skateboarding as well. Sarah Blakely with creating a product that was comfortable, Spanx. People got obsessed, and everyone who's ever made any kinds of impact on the world, Steve Jobs with Apple and his obsession for perfection and for design and for impact, he changed the world. I want to play a quick clip from a guy I've mentioned before. His name's Ben Lionel Scott. I don't know how to pronounce his middle name. Ben Lionel Scott. And he's created a lot of great YouTube videos. I think he's got close to maybe 1 million followers now on YouTube. A lot of great videos, but I want to play a few minutes from a video called Obsessed. And he'll typically have 2 or 3 minute videos on his channel, and I'll listen to 1 or 2 of them in the morning when I'm doing push-ups and jumping jacks just to get motivated and get started for the day. So this one is called Obsessed, and I will also put this link in the show notes if you guys want to listen to it. But let's see if it picks up clearly on my microphone here.
All the greats on this planet were addicted to something. You got to get addicted to something good. It takes such a desperate, obsessive focus. You really got to focus with all of your fiber and all of your heart and all of your creativity. While the other guy's sleeping, I'm working. While the other guy's eating, I'm working. This is what I believe, and I'm willing to die for it.
This is what I live for. I am obsessed with this. So if it costs my life, if I die in the pursuit of my obsession, then so be it. I went out doing what I love. Live an extraordinary life. And don't let anything stop you from getting it.
The only limit to our impact is our creativity and caring. If you care enough and you're creative enough, there is no limit. Stop thinking about the score of the game and focus on one thing you can control: how much you give every moment you're on that court. There are going to be days when you win and when you lose. But the only days you're going to know when you win or lose are going to be by your measurement of yourself. What's the single most important key to success above anything else? It's not talent, it's not skill, it's hunger. If you get enough hunger going in you for an answer, you'll find the answer. If you get a hunger enough inside of you that says, I got to take things to a next level, I got to achieve, I got to make a difference, I got to expand, you will find the answer. If every single moment you're on that court, you're engaged at level 10 or above, if such a thing were to exist, and you gave every ounce of yourself every minute on the court, then it doesn't matter what the score is, you won. Because you became more, and you gave more.
Look, I'd love to sugarcoat this thing for you. I'd love to tell you, look, you can go out here and get rich, do a couple of things. That ain't happening. You got to get real doggish. You got to get downright funky if you want to make it. If you want to be ordinary, just go on about your business. But if you have extraordinary aspirations, then you're going to have to do extra. You have to decide if you are willing to do the things to put you in that category. All of you have extraordinary capabilities. All of you. Expand yourself. Take yourself out your comfort zone. You will fail in your comfort zone. Success is not a comfortable procedure. It is a very uncomfortable thing to attempt. So you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable if you ever want to be successful. Start putting some pressure on. Put some pressure on yourself. Get out here and get about it.
So I really love that channel because those videos, along with the words and people that I listen to, Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, Andy Frisella, it's very inspirational and it really helps generate that motivation and internal drive to get you going. So if I listen to something like that in the morning and I'm not feeling great, I get up, I go to the gym, I take that pre-workout, I make sure that I do something and I just move forward, even if I don't necessarily feel like it. I'll put that link in the show notes. I really recommend you guys check out some of those other videos. There's a lot of great YouTube videos that help get your mind right. Great to watch first thing in the morning as part of a morning routine. But anyways, more about goals and about obsession in general. There's an article on Forbes on obsession that says that striving for your goals is the goal. And we experience more satisfaction and joy from striving to achieve our goals than we do from actually achieving them. And you hear about this often when people who have quote unquote made it, they still are not satisfied. They always have another hunger for another level. As we get more, we want more, and that's just how the game is. It's like the thrill of the chase, right? People love the feeling of the hunt. Gary Vee talks about this, I believe, where he said, just trying to get the jets and trying to buy the jets, that itself, that's the game. When you get to your goals that you're aiming for, you simply raise the bar. You simply go on to the next goals. And that is why focusing on and obsessing over your goal is kind of the goal. And then an article on entrepreneur.com said that obsessive people are more likely to be successful. And this is no surprise. They actually have 8 reasons why. Firstly, obsession gives you courage. Writer Ambrose Redmoon put it really well. Ambrose said, "Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the judgment that something else is more important than fear." That is so cool because a lot of times people are like, oh, you have to be courageous, you can't fear anything. That's not true. You have to say that something else is more important to you than the fear. So that makes you overcome the inaction and the being frozen, you start to take action. You start to say, what I want is more important than sitting here being afraid. The second point that the article talks about is that obsession makes you a master of time and scheduling because you have to be really good at time management in order to see progress. Number 3, obsession encourages thought and innovation. When you're obsessed, you're hungry 24/7. It's insatiable and it's the only thing on your mind. And I can vouch for this. I posted this on my Instagram story the other day where I just sit there sometimes and I'm not sure what to focus on next. Like, I've put in the grind, I've put in some work, I've done as much as I think I could do for the day. And I'm just sitting there like, what can I do next? What can I do? Like, what more can I do? Can I generate a list of prospects to go door knock on? Can I make a flyer that I can put up in coffee shop bulletin boards? I'm always thinking, what's next? Because the quotes have been said as well that when you say you've done all that you can do, 99.9% of the time, that is a lie. You have not done all that you're capable of doing. There is more that you can actually do. And so anytime I want to sit back and relax and be like, oh, I did everything I can do today, there's a voice in the back of my head that says, no, you didn't do everything you could do today. You have more. You can push more. So that's so true that when you're obsessed, you're hungry 24/7. And then number 4, obsession harnesses your focus and energy. So until obsessed people achieve their goal, they're not focusing on anything else. This is so true, right? Because when I have a goal in mind and I'm working towards something, or I have a lead that's warm and I know that they want to buy a house and they want to buy it quickly and I showed it to them and they like it, I'm following up until we have a written offer that is accepted. That way I can rest a little bit and just follow the steps until the process closes, instead of dragging feet and then the house gets pending and sold to somebody else and now we got to restart the whole process altogether. So that's just a personal example of how I focus on my goal until it is accomplished. And then number 5, obsessive people love to say no. This is something I've talked about in previous episodes and I've gotten better at doing myself. Obsessed people say no to almost everything. If they always say yes, they're not only getting distracted, but it also prevents them from accomplishing their dreams and ambitions. In the last episode, I talked about the one insurance guy who's like calling me and following up and trying to get an appointment and inviting me to this little workshop or like passive income pyramid scheme type thing, trying to bring me in and learn more about this opportunity. And he's invited me 1 or 2, maybe like 3 times by now to try to go within the last week, and I've said no to all of them. Now I'm just ignoring his messages, and if he keeps calling or texting, I'll just block him. Basically, you have to say no to everything that is a distraction, and there's a fine line here because there could be opportunities that you're saying no to. So I don't want to say no to everything and then possibly turn down opportunities that may be a good fit for what I'm doing. But at the same time, I'm very cautious. If I have bad vibes or I'm not trusting somebody very much or I don't know them very much, it's usually a no for me until I get to know them and I can feel like it's not going to violate the trust that I'm giving in them. Like, I don't want to go somewhere and waste my time. That is like the worst thing that can happen. Now, I will say maybe you can give people one chance and say, hey, I'll have one coffee meeting with you. And then maybe if it makes sense, we'll continue meeting and catching up. And if not, we'll go our separate ways. Number 6, obsessive people make conscious decisions. So instead of pointing fingers, successful people take personal responsibility. This kind of goes with that thing of everything is your fault, right? Whether it is your fault or it's not, that's besides the point. If you take responsibility, you take the power to make a difference and to change things in your life. Number 7, obsessive people seek mentors. Successful people actively look for mentors. They want someone who can show them the ropes so that they can be the best version of themselves. And obsessive people who are successful also tend to be humble, I would say, because it takes humility to say you don't know it all. It takes some kind of humility to be like, hey, I need help, I need a mentor, I'm willing to pay someone or work for free to get that knowledge. Whereas other people who may be too proud, they don't want to raise their hand and look stupid in the classroom, for example, because they don't want people to know that they don't know something, or maybe they get it wrong, the answer wrong. Obsessive people don't care. They seek mentors and they ask the quote unquote dumb questions because they want to learn. And then number 8, according to this article, obsession beats talent. And the article mentioned this really cool thing. I haven't seen the documentary, but apparently there's a documentary with the UFC fighter Conor McGregor. And there's a quote from Conor, and he says, "This is an obsession. Talent does not exist. We are all equals as human beings. You could be anyone if you put in the time. I am not talented. I am obsessed." Are you obsessed? If not, are you focusing on the right thing? If you're not obsessed, if you're not passionate with what it is that you're doing, maybe it's time to switch things up. Maybe it's time to reignite that passion. Maybe it's time to find a side hustle that can help energize you if your 9 to 5 is draining you. If you need to pay those bills and you have to have that 9 to 5 and you can't just jump ship and burn the boats, that 9 to 5 may be draining you of your passion and your energy and your excitement for the day, but maybe your side hustle can bring that energy back and help to fuel you. And of course, the goal is to find that thing that you love, figure out how to make money doing that thing and focus on it so that you're in that state of flow where everything that you work on all day, every day is stuff that you love and stuff that you can make a living doing. But of course, sometimes we need to work a little bit to get to that state of flow and that optimal level we are all looking for. So make sure to find something that you are obsessed with. And even if it's not the sexiest thing, if it is that 9 to 5 that you hate, try to create that obsession within. Maybe try to gamify it a little bit. Set goals for yourself within the organization you're in. See if you can beat previous records. Ask your manager what would really help the company, maybe like the bottom line or some revenue or sales goals, and try to beat those. And then maybe you can ask for a raise and negotiate salary increases, things like that. And opportunities open up when you are obsessed and when you just pass up everybody else who's in your domain. All your competition, if you're able to beat them, put in more effort, show up more, come earlier, stay later, those things will add up over time. And of course, your obsession is going to help you stand out from the pack. So with that being said, get obsessed for 2020. And this episode is going live again. If you're listening to this on the 30th, get obsessed today. Don't wait. You don't need to wait for January 1st. You can start taking action today. Start finding what you're obsessed with. Start finding what you're passionate about. Start writing some things down. Write down ways that you think you can increase that hunger within so that you can just dominate 2020 in general. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to check out my free guide on productivity hacks if you haven't already. You can get that by going to chrisbello.com/free. Again, that's chrisbello.com/free. Thank you all for listening, and I'll catch you on next week's episode of the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. Peace.